Good morning, everyone. I'm Beverly Bowles, the Head of Cyber for ScotlandIS. We're the trade body and cluster management organisation for the digital tech sector in Scotland. We launched this series of ScotlandIS Tech Tidbits last year, and they will take place on the first Tuesday of every month from 11:30 for 30 minutes. These sessions are designed to educate you on areas that you may not know you want to know more about, encourage you to innovate with your newfound knowledge, and potentially collaborate with the speakers and hosts. This webinar will be recorded, and I would ask that you put any questions you have for Stuart in the chat, and if you keep your cameras and mics off. This morning, we're joined by Stuart Gilbertson, who's the Managing Director of Consider IT. Stuart will take us on a deep dive into Microsoft Business Premium and the surrounding benefits to your business of implementing this tool. He will cover cybersecurity, productivity and collaboration, as well as compliance, data loss and prevention, and much more. And I'll now hand over to you, Stuart. Thank you.
Thanks, Bev. Morning, everyone. I'll just start by saying that I don't normally do public speaking, so forgive me if I stutter or blurt out random words when I don't mean to, so apologies on that. Today we are going to have a chat about Business Premium. It's a license from Microsoft that provides functionality for you to be able to run and operate your business from. So I'll just quickly share my screen and we'll get stuck in. Let me know if you can't see that. So a quick history lesson in terms of technology. Back in the day, when you came into the office, you would log on to your desktop computer, and that computer would talk to a server, usually in the same building as you. It would ask if it's okay for you to log on to the systems, and the server would check your username and your password and go, yep, that's okay, log you in, and then give you access to all the magic within the bit of metal, and that would be your email, your file storage, your authentication, and other collaboration stuff. The problem with that is that it's expensive to buy these servers. It's complex to maintain and manage the servers. If the server goes offline, then the whole business comes crashing down until somebody fixes the server. And if you wanted to work remotely from the office, it was usually quite clunky in that you needed a VPN to connect and dial back into the office server. Some of you might still have servers today, they might be running the antiquated technologies, or you might have line of business applications that you need to run this on a server, which is unavoidable, and maybe a move to the cloud is quite expensive. Where we are today, though, in terms of post-2012, is that Microsoft and Google have come along with some really nice alternatives to the on-prem server. You can pay them a monthly subscription, and they will let you pop your email and your files into the cloud and work from there without the need to have an office server at all in most instances. It means you're not relying on that bit of metal. You don't have to go and replace it every 5 years, and that finance model is much more predictable for new starts and things. And so the options from Microsoft are basically threefold if you're less than 300 members of staff. You've got the Business Basic license, you've got Business Standard, and you've got Business Premium. The Business Standard one is probably the most popular, but in my view, it's not the one that you want to go ahead with. Business Premium is much, much better. You get a lot more bang for your buck, and whilst this is not a sales seminar by any means, what I do want to kind of highlight is just the difference in features and what Business Premium can offer you. When you compare Business Premium as an offering to the rest of the third-party solutions out there, Google or whatever that might be, what a lot of businesses don't realize is that the third-party options, whilst they appear quite cheap to begin with, stack up and get quite expensive quite quickly. If you were to go down the Google route and pay the Google fee for the equivalent kind of workspace email files, you then kind of find that maybe you want to add on Slack, or you want to add on Calendly, or you want to add on these other third-party solutions, and before you know it, you're actually paying significantly more to do the same stuff. Now, I'm not saying by any means Microsoft's perfect. It's got its quirks. Not everyone likes it. It can be a bit fiddly at times, but they do have almost unbeatable business offering at the moment with the features that they have. And today what we'll do is have a quick deep dive into some of those features that they have. So today Windows Hello for Business, talk really quickly about that, let you know what that is and how that changes your user experience and improves security. How we do device management in a platform called Intune, which is something that you get with Business Premium, and then some extra security features that I think are pretty cool. And remembering that all of these features and more are included in that license. So whilst you might have that license from your current provider, the question that you maybe want to ask them is, are you making the most of all the features and functionality? So just diving straight in, Windows Hello for Business kind of replaces the antiquated login process that you probably follow when you sit down, you do Control-Delete, you then have to type your username and your password, and that's kind of it. There's no additional check really, unless you're paying for a third-party solution to add MFA onto your Windows login. Windows Hello changes that and adds MFA built in as standard. It uses a module in your laptop or your desktop called a trusted platform module to act as the multi-factor, which is the MFA aspect that you've probably heard about quite a lot. And it also replaces the password with fingerprint or a PIN or even a picture of your face from your webcam. So it means that you don't have to remember that complex password anymore. If we can get people off of passwords, then we're not having people type their password into dodgy websites, and that will significantly increase the general security of a business too. What's really nice about Windows Hello is that once you've logged in, it passes through to all the Windows apps, Edge, Office and stuff, so you're not having to log into those apps either. And a great example, when you're logging into a third-party website, so the screenshot here shows you logging into Azure, but if you've got a single sign-on for any third-party app that supports single sign-on, you just sign right in without having to worry about typing your password or anything like that. It just knows that it's you that's logged in to that laptop using Windows Hello. Saves you time, saves you having to send IT requests for password resets and that kind of thing. Next quick thing I wanted to chat about was device management in Intune. So Intune's a lovely portal that allows the IT department to set configuration on the laptop. Why that is game changer from an IT perspective is that back in the day with those clunky servers, your laptop or your desktop tended to need to be on the network to get those changes. Intune allows those changes to be pushed out without having to VPN. That means that wherever you are in the world, as long as your device is online, it's going to get those configuration updates, those security tweaks and changes, and also the important patching that the IT department should be doing. One example, one feature that I really like about Intune is the BitLocker. BitLocker encrypts the hard drive, which means that if the hard drive was taken out of the computer or if the computer was lost or stolen, users can't just copy the data off the hard drive because all that data is encrypted. And what's nice about Intune is that we can push a policy to all of your devices that says your device must have an encrypted hard drive and the user cannot log in if that drive is not encrypted. The next amazing feature that I think I know is really good is the autopilot functionality. Autopilot allows the IT department to provision devices without lifting a finger. So historically, IT departments would have to spend sometimes hours setting up devices for users, which was a pain for them, pain for the user if it was an urgent kind of swap over of a laptop. Whereas now what we've got is autopilot. The IT department takes the serial number of the device, pops it into Intune, and then Intune runs through the setup of that device. So what you can actually do is have the device shipped straight from HP, straight from Dell to the user's office, user's home. When they turn it on, it knows it's part of your organization and it knows it can log on and do all the provisioning that your organization requires automatically without anyone having to do anything, which obviously significantly reduces human error as well. The compliance aspect, so a lot of businesses find this boring, but one of the really nice things about Intune is that it allows us to govern and control devices from one central location. We don't care if they're in the office, we don't care if they're at home, we don't care if they're in a coffee shop. We can push our policies, we can manage and control the device as you know as we need. And so what Intune can do is set out compliance policies that require certain metrics to be met before the user can access company resources, which is really useful. One of the metrics that Microsoft has is a secure score across the whole tenancy that is becoming more and more popular. If you've had to fill out any insurance forms recently regarding cyber insurance, there's a very good chance that your insurer has asked what your Microsoft Secure score is. And if they haven't, they will be soon, I think. The next kind of security feature of Microsoft Intune, which is effectively the firewall of the Microsoft 365 solution. Conditional access is the system that will effectively say yes or no to your users accessing the applications, the infrastructure, the resources that your company has. And it's a pretty straightforward solution. It's an if-then statement that it runs to say if a user is at a known location with a known device and also meets the MFA requirements, then they can access the resources. Whereas if you were to try and log on from personal computer, for example, from Spain, your conditional access would effectively block that out completely, which is obviously a benefit to the business and not letting random machines and random users log in to access your critical business data. And this conditional access solution is one step towards what we call a zero trust policy, where we just assume that nothing should be trusted at any time, and we regularly review and make sure at all times that when anyone is doing anything on the systems, these conditional access policies are met. One of my favourites about the Business Premium offering is the data loss prevention aspect. I think this one is probably the one that gets used the least, but is actually possibly the most valuable to a business in how it operates. What you can do when you're properly licensed in Word, Excel, or any Office application, Office suite, is you can apply sensitivity labels to classify and control access to your files. What that means is that when you go in and say, hey, this file is a confidential file, it will stop you from being able to share that outside of the organization or the people that it's shared with. So when you go in and try and attach that file to an email, it's just going to say, nope, sorry, you can't do that, which is really useful. In addition to sensitivity labels, you also get retention labels within Business Premium. What that allows you to do is effectively say when you want to delete or when you want to keep a file, how long you want to keep a file for. So if you received a CV, I think is the one we use it for the most, CV for a job application, we know that we don't want to keep any unsuccessful candidate CVs for longer than necessary under GDPR. So what you can do is you can attach a retention label to that, which says after a period of 3 months, delete this file. And that file will automatically be deleted without you having to do anything. And the reverse is true for financial documents as well, that you maybe have to keep from a compliance point of view. In addition to those data loss prevention tools, you can also have IT disable the ability to take screenshots. So if you're working on a sensitive financial document or disciplinary for somebody with their correct configuration and security on it, you're not able to take a screenshot of that file at all. So not only can you not email the file externally, you're not able to try and steal it by other means. And where we find this really useful is our staff are jumping on remotely to support users quite regularly. What we don't want are the staff being able to see sensitive financial documents of our clients. And so when we have this properly configured for our clients, they've got confidence that even if Stephen jumps on and provides support, they're not going to see any data that they shouldn't see when they jump on to remotely support. The last part of my presentation is all about the Defender for Business, the application that you get as part of the Business Premium offering, and this is probably the most important one. Microsoft offer a what I call antivirus on drugs. It's a endpoint detection and response solution that back in the day you had antivirus that was looking for dodgy files. It still does all that, but it does it a lot more in depth. Defender for Business will actually automatically detect and try to stop any attempts at attacking your systems through ransomware or viruses or any emerging threats that are happening. Defender will jump in And what's nice is that it will work in the background as part of the business premium license offer without you having to go and spend more money on third-party solutions. And I think Gartner rates it as one of the highest in terms of the the quadrant that they offer, alongside the likes of CrowdStrike and SentinelOne. So it is a contender in that regard, and from our tests, it's actually one of the better EDR offerings. So if you are spending money elsewhere in other products, probably no need to. You could probably consolidate down to that one license, and properly configured and properly managed, Defender is really up there. So I was warned by Bev that this is only a half-hour session, and I need to leave some time for questions. So I ran through a lot of that. What we haven't had time to talk about is all the other stuff within Business Premium. I've spoken about 3 things there, but there's a whole lot more. We use this tool from a Microsoft employee called Microsoft 365 Maps, which maps out all the functionality you get from the various licenses. You can see here that we've barely scratched the surface on what Business Premium offers you as a business. If you're a business owner and or even somebody that works within the business and you want functionality, you want features, and you want security, then Business Premium really is a no-brainer as far as we're concerned. If you've got more than 300 staff, then there's other licenses available. But for small to medium businesses, if you've got less than 300 staff, Business Premium is almost certainly what you want to be taking a serious look at. And then some of the other features that we love to use and take advantage of as part of the Business Premium offering for our clients are listed here. Things like being able to remotely wipe a device that's been lost, or remotely reinstall a device that's been that's kind of come to the end of the technical support triage. We've got no other option but to reinstall. We can do that remotely through the Business Premium license offer. We can give users access to other Office tools like Loop, Forms, Planner, To-Do, Clipchamp as well, which is the video editing solution from Microsoft, all encapsulated in the Microsoft 365 offering. And again, what's really useful from our perspective and our client's perspective is that for the most part, Microsoft is completely agnostic. So if you've got a Windows device or if you've got an Apple device, they can both be onboarded into the same tenancy, into the same solution, and work just as well. So that takes me to the end. Thank you very much for your time.
Great, thanks very much for that, Stuart. I've got a few questions here, if that's okay. And
Yep.
If anybody that's watched would like to ask some questions, if you can stick them in the chat, that would be great. When it comes to cyber threat protections, are they included in Business Premium when it comes to specific threats like ransomware and phishing and endpoint protection?
Yeah, it absolutely is all included in there. So the ransomware protection, anti-phishing, all that kind of stuff, it comes through the Defender offering. There's 2 elements to, or there's more than 2 elements, but the 2 elements that you've touched on there. The Defender for Endpoint is the application that is on the machine watching over you locally on the computer, and that's what would prevent the ransomware side of things. Microsoft have Defender for Office 365, which is the cloud solution, and that is where your anti-phishing, safe attachments, safe links, which we've not even spoken about, come into play. And that's where Microsoft are scanning those attachments in and out of your systems. They're scanning links as well, and then verifying that they're safe before you are able to actually visit the website.
Fantastic. And is it able to support hybrid or remote working environments?
That's the benefit of it, is that it takes away the need to be on premise. So yeah, absolutely. You no longer have to be on the VPN. You no longer have to be in the office to access the resources. You can be anywhere in the world. And again, it supports Windows and Mac.
And are there any tools within it that help real-time collaboration between teams?
Yeah, so you're all familiar, hopefully, with the Office suite. And the Office suite itself has the technology to allow users into the same Word document to edit and update the document simultaneously. And when you're both in the document, you see where you are in the document with the little mouse icon. So yeah, no, that is all just standard as part of the Microsoft 365 solution.
So you just touched on compliance a little bit. And is there any way that you're able to customize compliance setting according to the needs of different industries?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm not going to say it's something that just works out the box. It does require a lot of investment in time and knowledge to be able to do it correctly. But you can be very intricate in the settings that you deploy into your tenancy to make sure they meet the requirements of what you're doing from a compliance perspective.
Um, and is there any way that it can be used to help prevent accidental or malicious data leaks?
Yeah, so the data loss prevention stuff is probably the key there in terms of malicious data leaks. So when you go to apply your data loss prevention policies, you're looking at key things. So things like credit card numbers, social security or national insurance numbers, any particular proprietary data that you might not want to leak. So if you're an organization that works on sensitive projects, you might give it a code name, and then you can use that code name in the documents, and then apply the data loss prevention labels onto the documents to stop those things going out. So that certainly would stop it from what we call an insider threat perspective, where members of staff are leaking the data.
Right. And would there be sort of reporting or alerts that would be available to administrators to sort of give a heads up about data loss incidents?
Yeah, so again, Microsoft 365, they've got you covered on that aspect. You've got a full portal where you can go in and look at historic alerts, or you can configure alerts to notify the team on Teams chat or email or any other third-party applications that you might want your alerts to hit in. So yeah, it is a full enterprise solution that has been priced at a small to medium business level.
And is there anything that you've used with your customers for particular challenges that they faced that you've been able to solve by using this product?
Uh, the consistency, I think, from our perspective on provisioning devices was a pain. We provision a lot of computers, especially over COVID, where people were making a jump from desktops to laptops, and there's a human element of deploying and getting machines right for lots of different clients, and being able to utilize autopilot for us to be consistent and to be accurate in the deployment makes a massive difference. From the user's perspective, nobody wants a broken computer, and nobody wants the IT guy remotely connected to that computer for hours on end, getting in the way of you working. And so being able to reinstall the computer completely is a game changer. We can get to a certain point in our triage that says, okay, we need to reinstall this machine. We're not sure what's wrong. A reinstall might fix it. Go grab lunch, Bev. And by the
Mhm.
time you're back from lunch, half an hour, that machine has reinstalled and is ready to go fresh.
Fantastic. And you mentioned before about other products that once you've started using them, costs can mount up. But are there any hidden costs or considerations beyond licensing with this product?
It really depends on what you need and what your relationship is with your IT team in regards to what they're recommending. There may be elements that your IT team want to bolt on top of Business Premium. There might be compliance requirements or security features that are not part of Business Premium itself. But everything that we've spoken about today and the features that I've shown you are all part and parcel of the
Mhm.
Business Premium offering.
And what would be the smallest size of organization that would benefit from it?
One person.
Oh,
We we
really?
we got to a point where it just makes sense at any size organization up to 300 staff
Mhm.
to be using the Business Premium license because of the security and the rest of the functionality that you get from it. In our view, that
Mhm.
other IT people will have different views, but I think looking at the price of Business Premium compared to the competition, and then adding on everything else that you might want on top, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And are there any features or roadmap items coming up that businesses could get excited about?
Microsoft are always chopping and changing things to add on certain things. I'm not sure if there's anything worthy coming up in the next couple of weeks. They are always adding stuff on that from a security point of view or a techie point of view we do enjoy. In terms of the end user, I'm not sure, but no doubt there will be very soon. I think one of the newer features that they've released recently is the web content filtering within Edge, where we can actually go in and block access to AI sites and things like that. So we can go in and say, you know what, we're going to block all the AI platforms other than Copilot for now.
Okay.
And that's part of Business Premium, which was our recent release. So yeah, there's lots of different things.
So thanks so much for your time this morning, Stuart. That was really interesting, and hopefully the folk that have joined us have gotten something out of it. If anybody would like to follow up with Stuart or have any questions about what you've heard today, then please let me know and we can make the introductions for you. And our next Tech Tidbit will be at the same time, 11:30 on Tuesday, the 2nd of September. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, and thanks a lot for your time, Stuart. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you.